You ready? Breathe. Say, I am ready to receive.
I am ready to receive.
All right. In January this past year, I was doing my meditation, as I always do. But I got a list of things that Spirit wanted me to accomplish. You kind of get your little checklist. You need to do this, this, and this. And it was coming directly from God. And one of the things was an unusual item. God said, go visit your skin doctor. And I went, oh, I've heard that before. Being extremely fair and never in the sun very often, but have quite the menagerie of collective moles and spots and things. It's very difficult to keep track of what's happening. And I thought, well, maybe that's a good idea. I was told to do it. So I put it on my list of things to do. So I called my skin doctor, who I adore. She's wonderful. I've been there 4 years before, and she's very sweet. And she does not take my insurance. And I went, And the cost of an exam was $200 plus. And I went, And I hung up the phone without making an appointment. And I said, God, do you know she doesn't take my insurance? And there was silence. And I said, well, I'll get around to taking care of that. And then over the months, as we get very busy, I kind of felt that little thing I really do need to do. I told God I'd do it. So I need to take care of it. And I guess it rolled around till April. And I had my Psychic Development 3 class where I teach them body scanning, to go into the body and just see what's happening in the organs and things. So I was Amber Robinson's guinea pig for a session. And so she's going through my body and she goes, Cindy, you need to go to your skin doctor. And I went, well, why are you saying that? Of course, radar's up. Now I'm going to do the Inquisition here. I am the teacher. I get to do that. And she said, well, I don't know. There's just a spot. And I said, well, what is the spot? She goes, the spot's okay. It's okay, but you need to go to the doctor. And I said, but no, what's the spot? She goes, spot's okay, but you still just go to the doctor. And at that point, I went, okay, God. And I told her why she told me that. Because I was supposed to have gone to the doctor in January. This April, I get busy. So finally it rolls around. I finally call the doctor. She's the one I love. She's the one I'm going to. So they said they'd give me a little bit of a discount since I don't have insurance. I made the appointment. July 9th, I made the appointment for. Between Amber's conversation with me in April and July, I began to think about a lot of things about this upcoming appointment. I began to see all the things on my skin I couldn't explain. Those bumps that had been on the side of my face for years. Oh my goodness. I had a little sty on my eye that had been there for months and it was not going away. Oh, this looked odd and that looked odd. And I started to really go into a space of fear. Oh my God, God must be sending me there because something's wrong with me. But God knows what He's doing. And oh my God, and I've delayed it so far now. Do you hear what I'm saying? And I went into almost a state of panic when I looked at my face and put my makeup on in the morning. Oh no, but God's in charge. God's in charge. I had to literally walk from April to July into the space of peace. You know what? If God's in charge, shut up. Just go. If there's something, it'll get taken care of. Don't worry about it. Just be at peace. So I approached going to my beautiful appointment July the 9th. And because I was so at peace, I said, Patrick, why don't you go with me? It's early in the morning. You can just not take clients that day. Just be there, just in case. So he did. So we rolled into the appointment. And I went in and met the nurse. And she was very kind in her little blue scrubs and stuff. And just nice. And I, got on my little gown when she left, my beautiful little linen gown. And I laid down on the table because I was so tired. So it was early in the morning. And I'm laying on the table and there was an absolutely amazingly beautiful energy that appeared by my side. It was pure love and it was beautiful. And I heard this voice say, it's going to be okay. It's okay. And like I was being patted on the arm. over here. It's okay. And I went, I'm awake enough to know what that is. So I turned, and there was a young lady by my side who was in her maybe late 20s, early 30s. She had on a white nursing gown and a little white nurse's hat. Remember what they used to wear in days gone by? And I saw her there, and I said, what are you doing here? And she said, well, I'm working here. I said, oh, well, you know you can be on the other side doing other things. And she said, no, I'm here to learn. I'm working here. And I said, oh. So I looked up above her, and there was this huge column of light, huge and bright. And at the very top, there were some beings, and one of them was particularly visible to me. He was a male. He was like a guide that was helping her. And I could see him in his attire, and I could see him full dimensional. And I just saw him looking down with no opinion, just looking down, but I could see him. And so I said to her, I said, don't forget, when you're given assignments like this, don't forget to ask when you're complete. Because it's just like when we are born. When we come into the earth and we get focused on matter, we get so involved in the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and we forget that we might be done. You know, we forget to know when we're complete with certain lessons and tasks. And she went, okay. And then the nurse came back in, and my girl's gone. So the nurse is back in, and now we're down to business. We're getting examined. My focus went right to what's happening. My doctor, who I adore, she has the kindest, sweetest energy, came into the room, and I couldn't recommend a kinder doctor. And so we went through the exam, and there were 2 spots that were of interest to her. And so I said, you know, well, I'm not insured, so let's negotiate, let's talk. And so we walked through what the price would be. And so I said, well, let's do one of the spots. And she made an agreement with me. She said, I'll do one, but if it comes out with a not positive response, you promise you come back, we'll do the other one. Or you will take care of the other one somewhere else. I said, I promise. So I'm all ears, all attention on what she's doing to my shoulder. Have you ever had a mole removed? So it's interesting, scraping and things. And I have completely forgotten about my experience, other than I hear it's okay. I'm believing it's going to be okay. So they leave. I'm getting dressed, and that sweet, sweet spirit appeared again in the room, and I felt her. And she said to me, you were my last client. And I went, oh. She had asked. She had gone and asked. You were my last client. I went, oh. And then I said, do you want me to help you cross over? You know, do a prayer and lift her up? And she said, no, I want to go say goodbye to everybody. And I said, okay. And off she went. And I'm just getting all my clothes on. I'm holding it together to pay my bill. The minute I walk outside the door with Patrick, I start blubbering, crying in the hall, trying to tell him what just happened. That what an honor. Oh, this beautiful spirit. And she was here too long, and she needed to go back. I held it together in the elevator when another couple was there. But the minute we're off the elevator, I don't care who's around because they're far enough away. They don't know why I'm crying. I cried to the car, through the parking decks to the car, trying to tell him what had just happened. I was so honored. I was so touched. She was so precious. She had been sent to learn something, probably preparing for her next incarnation. I don't know. It was wonderful. It was just amazing. And I thought about my journey. What if that was the only reason I was being sent there? What if that was the only reason? Who was being taught, do you think? Her or me? Both. Absolutely. She had gotten caught and focused on matter, and so am I. She had forgotten to ask, am I done? And so do I. And also, look at how I processed the information. I got the guidance from God to do something. I immediately said, the world will think what I am doing is not very smart, because I have this insurance that I pay for, or that we pay for very generously, and yet I'm choosing a doctor that's not under that coverage. That is not very smart. Do you see? The world is calling my guidance not very smart. And then, when I get past that, God is sending me someplace, therefore I must be in trouble, and I let fear begin to color my intuition. And fear begin to color the guidance that I'm being given. Familiar to anyone? And I had to get to peace with myself before they could put me in the place where I could be of service. Do you understand? I had to get to peace. I had to be in a space where I was out of fear and receptive to what the situation was so that I could do what was mine to do. Following our guidance is the crux of what we teach. It's listening to that inner knowledge, wisdom, and truth, and then following it. Taking those steps to do what we're guided to do. And we know that when we get there, once we've gone through all the resistance to it, it's fabulous, isn't it? Could have been no other way. That is the only way we will ever access the knowledge of the universe. We have been working this month on refining our character so that our sense of self becomes teachable, so that we can become receptive to the greater divine in our worlds, so we're teachable. And we have to walk that path carefully and lovingly with ourselves. Y'all following me? Okay. When Jesus was a child, he said, it was a simple context. Jesus always stayed in contact with Spirit. Do you realize that? There was never a moment when he was not. When he was little, very little, before 12, he is talking to the Jewish master, and the master asks him which is the greatest of the 10 Commandments. And Jesus says, you know, I don't think there's a greater of the 10 Commandments. I think the strand of love that connects them all is the greatest. Love makes everything real. So the teacher said, well, how did you figure that out? You're seasoned with wisdom. Who was your teacher? And Jesus said, I do not know that any teacher opens up this truth for me. It seems to me that truth was never shut up, that it was always opened, for truth is one and everywhere. If we open the windows of our mind, truth will enter in and make herself at home. For truth can find her way through any crevice, any window, and any open door. And the rabbi was shocked, because the rabbi lived in a world where you had to learn the laws and live by them. The rabbi lived in a world where if you don't have insurance, you don't go to that doctor. He lived in a world where you did what your predecessors did. And we all know that if you follow your predecessors, where do you go? Where they went, and no further. You go exactly where they went, and no further. But are you your predecessors? No, you're not. You're unique. You're unique. Later, when he was older, a little bit older, not much, he was talking to one of the Buddhists. And the Buddhist was talking to him about the teachings of evolution. And Jesus says, really? He said, enlightened Arabo, are you a mastermind and do not know that a man knows nothing by being told? Because he said, how do you know these things? He said, it's our tradition, I've always been told that. Jesus said, you know nothing by being told. You must know by knowing. And to know, you must become what you know. You must have that experience. Become what you know. And then later when he was teaching his disciples that you can ask for food for any man, and if you do not know what to say, simply ask. God will give you the words. There's always something that will help, and God will give you the words to make it so. And then he said, ask God for everything. What you ask, you receive. What you seek, you find. The door you knock on will be opened. His message throughout his life was touching and communicating with the divine mind. Everybody agree? In our world today, we are so blessed by the scientific studies. They're absolutely amazing. They're amazing. Does anybody ever catch the shows on TV? There's brain games. There's all these shows that are guiding us through chemical realizations, through how the earth was made, and just fabulous things, fabulous things. And we watch it and we go, wow. Do you know what I'm talking about? Our minds get expanded. You know, some of it I don't understand, I will tell you. Some of it I cannot grasp. I cannot grasp the fact that color does not exist outside our minds. That's hard for me to grasp because I love color so much. I love color. But that it really is a perception in the mind of each man and does not exist, it's hard for me. But I love to think about stuff, love to think about it. But the more science goes into the details, the more science goes into how this works, how that atom works, how the molecules of our food break down and goes to little receptor cells and whatever, I can't even quote it accurately, but it feeds us. You know, we can just be fascinated. The more deeply they go into the movement of these creative energies of the universe, they find that everything is working to sustain life. Do you understand? Everything is working to sustain life. It's all about life. It's not about destruction. It's not about cells fighting cells all the time. It's about inharmonies. But if you allow health to occur, it all seeks to be healthy. There's this beautiful universal knowledge of health and wholeness and sustainability at the core of our lives. I love this book. It was written in 2004, so it may be archaic at this point. It's Science and the Akashic Field by Ervin Laszlo, an integral theory of everything. It is not a divine dip book. You have to really get into what they're saying. But he does a lot of talking about the universe and how the universe was created. And if the speed of creation had been 1/billionth slower, none of this could have existed. If it had been 1/billionth faster, it would have been gases and couldn't have coalesced into form. And the mathematical assumptions they make about our universe and the meta-universe and all the energies out there, they cannot find formulas that substantiate what we're going through. There is a force they cannot recognize, but they can see the evidence of. And it's not dark energy and it's not dark matter, it's beyond that. We should not mathematically be being held in the state we're being held in. And they keep looking, and they keep analyzing, and they keep going deeper. But one man who I love to quote, I think he's fabulous, his name is Fred Hoyle, says he's a cosmologist and a mathematical physicist. He said, "Life evolving purely by chance is about as likely as a hurricane blowing through a scrap yard assembling a working airplane." There is intelligence behind us. There is intelligence behind everything, behind the vast universe that we live in, behind the intimate little details of our lives. And this intelligence has created a world that sustains life and helps us sustain our existence. And who is the wild card in that creation? We are. We are. How is it so difficult for us to think that a divine intelligence might have a better idea for our next step to help us achieve what we're seeking to achieve? How is that so difficult? Can you even imagine that my thoughts went, "God, did you realize that they don't carry my insurance?" I couldn't imagine I thought it. By the way, did you know? Instead of just faithfully stepping out. When we look at our food and we know that this beautiful divine sustenance before us is going to molecularly break down and feed the cells of our body, and our cells are going to be so happy and we're just going to be healthy, we don't think that, do we? We think sensual, me, happy. experience who I am, have my sensual needs met, and keep my focus on just that. And eat what's put before me. Eat what my cravings might dictate. Instead of really understanding the depth of what is occurring with every breath you take, with everything you take in. Can you feel the vastness of the universe? Jesus Christ walked connected to that. Connected to that. And he said, follow me. Not follow me into suffering and pain. Follow me into connecting with the Father, Mother, God. Ask for what you want. Realize there is a higher energy, a light within you that is connected always with the greater love of God and the greater wisdom of God that will put you where you need to be to learn the lessons you need to learn. To learn the lessons that you need to learn. You did not need my experience. I needed my experience. I needed to meet that sweet girl. I needed to meet her. I needed to have that experience. But you have experiences that are so blessed and so perfect for you, that are waiting for you. I could ask how many of you do not follow your guidance when you get it immediately, and probably every hand would go up in the air. I could ask how many of you follow your guidance eventually, like me, 7 months. It's not so bad. And probably half. But your journey to following that guidance is probably littered with the same challenges mine was. Not trusting that divine mind that I have asked to guide me. Not trusting that heart. I remember when I first got into metaphysics, and I was really exposed to a lot of people of different faiths. And there was a common theme, and I mean, this is 100 years ago. There was a common theme amongst Christians of that day that God was just too busy to worry about your parking place. And we heard that all the time, because the metaphysicians were always saying, I just manifest a parking place. Yay, God. And standard Christian theology said, yeah, God's too busy for your parking place. Well, you know what? Divine mind is not too busy for anything. You are the life force. You are the essence that this world is created to mature, to grow. What is Mother Earth about? Dinosaurs had their day. What is it about? But us, succeeding, growing, Christing. When we are gone, the energy of Mother Earth will be changed. Probably the flowers and the animals will become different, because they will not be in this cooperative form that we are living in today. Do you realize that? Do you realize that the earth is not eternal? Do you realize in the history of the earth, we've only been here a blink of an eye, mankind? So 2 blinks and we may be gone. It's being sustained for us. This is a gift for us. To just learn to work in harmony with the divine mind in a world where we can experience matter. And we're supposed to enjoy our food, and we're supposed to enjoy everything, but we're not supposed to cut ourselves off from the energy that created and sustains us. Too heavy? I got 10%. Do you guys realize how many people and how many people in our history, how many of the inventions that catapulted us into a new realm were given to the Creator in a dream, in meditation? Our history is just littered with great minds who will freely say, this was not my thought. I was reminded of George Washington Carver, who is credited with unnumbered discoveries of ways to use various natural substances for our benefit. And he said, he didn't patent them. He patented very little. He said, how can I sell them? Because they were ideas that God gave to me. So he shared them freely. And this is the truth of so many beings. And if you could look at in your world, how many divine ideas have come to you that blessed the people around you? Okay. when we are doing what is ours to do, we become teachable. When we are teachable, we have a humble heart. When we have a humble heart, the character that we are living through, our character, is connected to the greater. This is what we've been working on this entire month. How to truly recognize how we interact with the world around us. How to truly begin to access that greater, that divine. And we do it through our humbleness, our humility. We receive and we learn to walk in spirit. Don't you know the message that Jesus gave to his disciples was to meditate and listen? Don't you know his disciples came to him and said, "What are the rules?" And he said, meditate and listen. Do what God tells you to do. And he said, don't create a hierarchy. In the New Testament, he said, do not create a hierarchy. Everybody has the same gifts. Go and love. And then 100 years later, we get a hierarchy in Paul's writings. And we're trying to organize this wild church that's out of control. But he said, meditate. You know, in the seminary program, we've worked a lot on that 5 years. My goal was always to teach as much information as I can so that they can stand on their own 2 feet and talk to God. To stand and say, what is mine to do? To listen and to act. This beautiful divine universe is amazing. It's amazing. And we are amazing. Our bodies are amazing. Our minds are amazing. And we as spirit have this amazing opportunity to come and actually move mountains. But we let the world tell us no. We go into fear that the mountain might be too heavy. What am I going to do with the mountain once I move it? You know, I've got to deal with the dirt. You know, we go into all these details. But we have to find peace. So we are movable. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Do you think you're teachable?
Yes.
That's about 50%. Let's go with it. Breathe and feel a beautiful column of light coming over you. And I want you to feel your gratitude for every time you have felt the divine hand of God guiding you. God, my Father, my Mother, I am so grateful for every moment I have opened my heart to know you, to be guided by you. So grateful. And I want you to ask that that beautiful love of God pour through your body now. Feel a beautiful energy of light beginning to pour through. It may start through your heart. It might start through the top of your head. But allow it to move into your body. I ask that God's love move into my body now. And let your inner eye just go to the heart and see the energy changing. Feel yourself expanded. The love of God in my body is literally expanding the cells, the vibration, the energy. Can you feel it? Father, Mother God, I ask that you lift us up into that greater realization. And just imagine you're being lifted into a beautiful light where there is peace. And whatever has kept you from divine mind, whatever you feel has kept you from connecting with that light for you. Just see it appear before you and send love to it. That which is before you is a teacher. It does not have to become an obstacle. Send your love. And let there be peace between you and that teacher. Father, Mother God, we are ready to embrace the divine guidance about our lives. And I want you to feel yourself now stepping beyond the teacher into a greater possibility for you. And as you do, feel the light becoming stronger. There is only love. There is only love. Standing in the love, feeling guidance, still ask. Ask what you would like to experience. Ask what further guidance you might want. And breathe in the light as it comes into you. There is no place where God is not. There is no thought that can keep you from God when you choose the light. Breathe in the light. Breathe it in and send it to your life, the details. And feel that beautiful love of God by your side. Very gently let your focus now come back to this room. And as you come back, you may feel a heaviness. Physical body weighs a little more. The vibration is a little slower. This body is your opportunity to love, to carry love into the world of matter and to be that beautiful creative child of God. Love the body now. And feel your world getting brighter. And God, I thank you for all the food that was given to each one. I thank you that this week they will realize that guidance as it becomes clear. And I thank you that your will is always done. Because we choose. And so it is. Take a breath. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. You feel expanded?
Yes.
Did anybody make it to greater potential?
Yes.
How'd that feel? By next Sunday, when you are getting ready to come back because you love this place, I want you to take a moment to think of 3 different occasions during this week when you have followed your guidance. That is your assignment. And I guarantee you, you may not remember this assignment until Sunday morning. But if you think, you will actually remember that you actually did follow your guidance 3 times, almost unconsciously, without thinking. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, great. You got it.